A courtroom drama that goes guns blazing. Let's talk about Collar King. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watcher Pass, and I'm here to talk to you about Call Her King, which is coming to BET Plus on July 6, 2023. It is a courtroom legal action drama, but not the kind of legal action you are probably thinking of. It is actually like guns blazing action. This is a film that has legal drama and illegal action. It is an interesting movie. My hot take is, look, I think you should probably rent it. It was between a rent in the past, but overall, like if you kind of know what you're getting into, if you want a fun legal courtroom drama that has some good action and some overall kind of like social justice ideas, and this could be what you're looking for, but just be warned, it also gets a little ridiculous at times. But if you're kind of expecting that, if you go in and just kind of want something fun to check out, then this might be for you. So I'm going to tell you a little more about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then very briefly go into the ending. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the ending section. If you don't know what happens in this movie, I would turn off when I get there. Before that, I'll keep it vague, I'll keep it spoiler free, and I'll let you know when I get to those spoilers. So in Call Her King, you have Judge King, who is at the sentencing stage of this person, Sean Samuel's case. He was convicted of killing a couple people, and now she has to put down the sentence. Now, as you can imagine, this is a high-profile case. This is a big sentence. There is a lot going on. There's a lot going through her head with her own personal life and her professional life. She has influences from colleagues. She has her own kind of built-in experience and built-in ideas about what should happen. And now she has to lay down a sentence for this person, Sean. But what would be a dramatic day becomes even more dramatic when some other forces enter to try to sway the case and also maybe sway the entire justice system. The things I liked about this movie, the first, I like the performances. Despite kind of the crazy story and over-the-top situations, there are some pretty good performances in this film. Like the characters have some big dramatic moments and they come through for the most part. I liked seeing the different characters. I like seeing kind of the courtroom drama. It was ridiculous at times, but overall, like I thought that the performances were solid throughout. The second thing I like, look, I like some of the plot twists. There were definitely some moments where a big twist will happen, and then they go back and like show you what you could have seen earlier. And I like that it made that connection. I like that it was like, oh, like that did happen. And I didn't think about it in this context until later, but I do like that it kind of like showed its work. It's almost like a citation, right? In the film, something will happen. They're like, oh, look, but remember we showed you this earlier. I like how these plot twists happened, but then just kind of like come out of nowhere. And the last thing I like, look, I liked the action. There was some decent action for a low budget indie film. The director, Wes Miller, his previous film, A Day to Die, I thought that had some pretty decent action. This was elevated to another level. And I like seeing that Wes is like elevating his game in his later movies. This had some more destruction. The action looked more realistic. The action looked kind of better overall. And so I like to see that he is progressing as a director, and I'm excited to see what else he comes up with. That being said, things I didn't love as much. The first, it's kind of a ridiculous story. I've mentioned it a few times. It is just a crazy, crazy story. It is fun. It is kind of over the top, but it also is just kind of like extreme and out there and doesn't really make much rational sense. The second thing I liked is, look, it's a little bit of an unsatisfying ending. The film has some pretty big themes, some pretty big ideas, and I feel like the ending kind of let them down. It had some interesting kind of like social justice messages that weren't, taken to their full extreme, taken to their like full conclusion in the ending. And the last thing I didn't love as much is, I'll call it kind of a muddled message. Like this film does make some points about the justice system and disparities in the justice system and kind of who gets a fair trial, who doesn't, some of the like ingrained prejudices that it has. But I feel like that message was kind of muddled in the over the top ridiculous action. I felt like this could have made some greater kind of more kind of concrete points on justice as a whole, especially justice for Black people who are convicted of crimes. But it makes those points, and then you kind of get lost in the way that this story progresses and the way that it ends. I wish that it would have maybe stuck a little bit more true. I'm kind of torn because I did like the action, and the action is well done, but I feel like you make these points about how there isn't a fair trial, and then you have this over the top resolution that kind of loses all of that. So that being said, Call Her King is coming to BET Plus on July 6, 2023. Like I said, if you just enjoy the ride, enjoy the action, this is a fun experience. But if you try to like dig in and really kind of grasp some of what this film could have been, I think it kind of misses the mark. It doesn't do like its overall message justice. So overall, I think it's a rental. It's coming to BET Plus, so you can stream it in the comfort of your own home. Just grab some popcorn, sit down, and enjoy the ride. So that being said, I'm going to go into the ending now. If you don't want to know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So, like I said, in Collar King, you've got Judge King, who is at the sentencing stage of Sean Samuels. Now, he was convicted of killing a couple people. The jury convicted him. They heard all the evidence. They convicted him. Now she is at the sentencing stage, and the question is basically like death or life in prison. And she is definitely leaning one way. She sentences him to death, but that is when this mass person and like essentially horde of like mercenaries come into the courtroom, take it hostage, and kind of like take over the courtroom. Now, luckily for Judge King, she has a pretty good defense. She has a pretty good bailiff and some people around her. So Sean Samuels, lawyer, and her like bailiff guard all barricade themselves in the office. Now, now you get like this cat and mouse game between this person who took over the courtroom and Judge King and her group as they are trying to like escape with their lives and also make sure that everyone in the courtroom who is now a hostage doesn't get killed. People that took over the courtroom are led by Gabriel Samuels, who's Sean Samuels' brother. He doesn't want to see his brother sentenced to death, so he kind of like mustered the support, use his resources to get these mercenaries in to make sure that his brother got out. Now, like I said, it's kind of a ridiculous story. It is weird because they keep calling him like the cybersecurity expert, and then he comes in with like guns. And like when I think of cybersecurity expert, I don't think of like mercenaries. I think of someone who is very smart, maybe a little bit pale from not being out in the sunlight, hacking away at their computer, trying to like reinforce networks. Not someone who is like coming in with both armed guns and like actual guns, taking over this courtroom, martial arts, weapons, all of that stuff. It felt like a little bit of a disconnect, but in any event, they take over the courtroom. They try to get Judge King to let his brother go, and she refuses. She doesn't want to, and that is when kind of some violence happens. There are hostages in the courtroom, and eventually Gabe puts the DA, the person who is prosecuting his brother, on trial. It turns out that that person is a little bit dirty. He had an inappropriate relationship with the judge. He has kind of traded sentences to make cases go away. He seems to have kind of like skirted his call to get justice, and so he goes on trial by Gabe. But all this time, they are also doing some other things in the courtroom. They are both trying to get into Judge King's office, but they're also hacking the courtroom system itself and breaking into the safe. Eventually, as Judge King and Sean and her protectors are escaping, she kind of looks at Sean in another light and eventually kind of realizes that maybe he didn't do it. She like looks into his eyes. He doesn't like run away. He doesn't try to escape. He seems to be accepting of his fate, but also like vehemently denies that he did anything. And eventually Judge King looks in his eyes and says, like, tell me the truth. Did you kill them? And Sean says no. And that's when she unlocks his cuffs and says, consider this an early release. I don't think she can do that. I'm pretty sure she has sentencing guidelines, and if he was convicted, there is a minimum that she has to sentence to. But you know what? It's okay. She just unhooks him. Now he's free to help her out and then potentially get out of there. Now, eventually, Judge King and Sean fight their way out. Her bailiff, her like protector, actually gets killed by Sean's defense attorney. It turns out that he was also dirty, and he ends up killing the bailiff. And after that, it's Judge King and Sean against this like acrobatic killer female and Sean's defense attorney. They're both working, it seems, for Gabriel, and they try to take out King and Sean. Judge King, in another interesting twist, like she apparently knows all this martial arts and gunplay. She like takes on this person hand-to-hand combat. It is very not like what I expect a judge to do, but it is entertaining. And Sean has to take out his defense attorney, which I imagine a lot of people who have had bad defense attorneys have wanted to do. Sean actually gets to. Eventually, Judge King and Sean end up winning. They take out the people that they are fighting. But as they are progressing, Sean kind of stays back. But eventually, Judge King locks Sean up in a a chain link area. There's like a chain link door. She locks him up in there for his own protection, and she goes on and tries to like finish this all. She is apparently, this is her courtroom. She is going to finish it. And this is when it gets really ridiculous. Like she finds where some of these armed guards are, these armed people are, throws in like a flash grenade and a smoke grenade, and then goes and just guns blazing, just takes out all these mercenaries. It is exciting. It is fun. It's a little ridiculous. Now, during this time, Gabe escapes from this, goes and breaks his brother out. And when he breaks his brother out, he gives him a hard drive. This is why they were hacking into the systems. There was like this parallel process where Gabe had the courtroom and some of those people were trying to hack into the systems. He gives his brother a hard drive, and this has all the records of all the kind of people who have been convicted in the courtroom, all the black people that have been convicted in the courtroom. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like, they're going to destroy this. Maybe they're going to let everyone free, all the like kind of frivolous cases, all the things that maybe were a miscarriage of justice. They're going to let those people free and kind of reset from a better spot. But no. Gabe gives it to his brother because he's like, now you hold the only records, and they're going to pay top dollar to get this back. So essentially, he is like sacrificing his company, his reputation, his life, everything that he has worked for, to let his brother get a piece of the pie and make some money, and not think that they're just going to like raid his house and take this because it's stolen government property. Again, like I said, this had an interesting, like, I thought it could have been interesting if he's like, okay, destroy this, and now like everyone will be free. They're not going to have the records. They can't hold these people. They don't have the records. They don't have the convictions. And then we'll reset and we'll like rebuild this justice system from a place of kind of equality. But no, Sean is going to get this money and then apparently like disappear. Now, eventually, after Judge King takes everyone out, Sean and Gabe escape. Sean's in like a sheriff outfit, and Gabe gets in like a work van and drives away. But Judge King is pursuing him. She comes out on the street. She sees the van. They have a standoff. She like pulls out a gun and just starts shooting the van as it's going towards her. Again, like a ridiculous ending, but you know what? It's fun. She shoots it and eventually like hits it. It blows up in the air. Gabe is dead. His company is destroyed, but Sean escaped with this hard drive. Now we go 6 months later. You've got Judge King in her house. Everything seems to be better. She's with her husband. We find out that she's in a better place and she is now stepping down. Maybe this case was a little bit too much for her. She is starting her own law firm, but she doesn't have a name yet. Her husband, who was out of a job and kind of causing some friction in their marriage, is starting to work again. It seems like maybe their life is better. We also get another scene. We see Sean in a suit looking like a supervillain with a bunch of people that he has recruited. And he goes through and says, each of you have been chosen because you have a gift. And with those gifts, we're going to make history. They're going to introduce chaos and disruption and mayhem, and they're going to start a revolution. Seems like he is going to now use that money that he got to, I don't know, overthrow the city, or do like something to kind of revolutionize the justice system. Again, I feel like this film had some interesting messages about disparity, and some interesting messages about like not getting a fair trial, and some of the challenges that people convicted of a crime have when they're fighting the justice system. And it kind of mixed those up with this action-oriented ending. And like I said, it was an entertaining action-oriented ending, but I felt like this could have maybe had a more impactful social message. But in any event, let me know what you think. Check it out on BET Plus on July 6, 2023. That was Call Her King. And thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.